about the basic road test, driving maneuverability. Let's go ahead and get it. Parking, backing up, lane changing, proper lane positioning, proper backing at a stop sign, three-point turns. These are a lot of things a lot of drivers need to be able to work on and a lot of drivers need to be able to do. So today I'm going to be talking about these things with you and help you. You got to know how to pull straight into a parking spot. You want to have your car centered. You want to split the spot in half and pull up right into the center of the parking spot. Angle parking spot. Again, you're going down. Shopping malls have angle parking spots. A lot of downtown areas have angle parking spots to get more cars in those parking areas. There's an arrow. If you're going the opposite way, you won't be able to maneuver your car in. Whenever you're driving, you want to be at a speed of 0, 2, 3, or 4. So when you're moving into the parking spot, you can maneuver your vehicle and turn it. You want to be able to park, if you're pulling into a curved parking spot, you want to be 12 inches or less away. Have people receive tickets for being on the curb? Of course. Will you get a ticket if you're too far away from the curb? Of course. Parking is really important. If you're parking downhill, you want to turn your wheels, your steering wheel and your wheels toward the curb, because if your car slips out of gear, it will roll into the curb and you want to pull up your park brake. If you're parking uphill, you want to turn your wheels away from the curb. If the car rolls backwards, it will roll into the curb, and always pull up your park brake. Backing up. Whenever you're backing up, whether you have a backup camera or not, you want to, and I'm talking about driving in North America. I know people listen who are other parts of the country. The principle's still the same. If your steering wheel is on the right side, you put your left shoulder on, and then this forces you to turn your back. If your steering wheel is on the left side, you put your right arm on the passenger seat, and this forces you to turn your back. I try to have my students back up a minimum of about 10 feet in reverse. You have to be able to reverse in your driveway. Reverse parking is important. You have to be able to back into a parking spot. And in many places in North America, they have a reverse parking maneuver where you have to reverse, cut your wheels all the way to the right, thank you, and back in. Next, let's talk about driving through a parking lot. Pedestrians are very vulnerable. Pedestrians should be walking down the aisle. If you cut through parking spots, if you're backing or pulling out or pulling in, a pedestrian could be hit and injured. So pedestrians are our most vulnerable road users. So in parking lots, you have to be really careful. In downtown areas, there are a lot of pedestrians who will walk when the sign says don't walk. In big sporting events, Chicago, New York, Florida, Miami, huge areas of pedestrians. You've got to go very slow. Signaling in turns. You need to signal 100 feet. 100. The 100 feet rule gives you time to slow down. It gives pedestrians time. It gives cars time to react. If I'm a car behind you and you turn your blinker 100 feet or half a block, okay, they're turning. I can squeeze my brake. I can slow, S-L-O-W, down, D-O-W-N, in adequate time. So I don't rear end you. I don't have to slam the brakes. So that blinker is so important. Next, let's talk about proper lane positioning. A lot of beginners have a difficult time. They tend to drift to the right side of the lane. I try to teach beginners, you see how I'm looking straight ahead? I try to teach beginners to look straight ahead and aim high. Aim high driving where you're looking ahead. The temptation is, and all of you can guess this, beginners stare at the speedometer. I'm looking down at the speedometer and I'm drifting off the road to the right. I'm looking down the speedometer, I'm drifting off the road to the left. So you have to teach yourself to not look down. That's a really important fundamental you will learn on your third or fourth drive. And when you signal in time, it avoids a lot of accidents. On your road test, if you don't signal, that's a deduction in points. It could cause an accident, and it also confuses pedestrians. If I'm walking across the street and I don't see a blinker, I'm thinking I can go, but then you turn. If I'm riding my bike and you don't turn on the blinker and I'm on the right of you, that's that right hook. Remember I talked about that? You're driving along in your car, I'm on the side next to you, you want to turn right, but I don't see a blinker. What happens is your right blinker in the front and your back blinker in the back, that lights up. And sometimes mirrors under the bottom, they light up too. The newer cars have that. And then this tells me, oh, they're turning. And then I can slow down and let you turn in front of me without getting hit. The same thing if I'm going across the intersection, you're making a left turn, you don't have your blinker on. That's the left cross. This is where a pedestrian could get hit, a bike rider could be hit, so you want to use your blinker. Next, let's talk about speed control. Speed control is so important. If you're driving in the downtown area, it could be 15, it could be 10, it might even be 25. So you as a driver, you have to drive at a speed that is safe and reasonable. If you're in downtown Detroit, you're in downtown Chicago, you're in downtown LA, you have to slow down. People from around the world are coming. I'm in Windsor, right? I'm in Toronto. Drake lives in Toronto, right? Drake lives in Toronto. So I'm driving there. My cousin who lives in Amsterdam, he would go to Toronto all the time. So beautiful places to see and visit, but you have pedestrians. You got to cover the brake. People are sightseeing, looking around. You might even be looking around too, but you're driving a car. So we have to be extra careful, extra cautious with pedestrians and controlling our speed. Be aware of safe driving. And safe driving is learned over time. It takes several years to drive in heavy traffic. It's stop and go. It's 70, then it's 65, then it's 70, then it's 55, then it's 60, then it's 45. So if you're not paying attention and daydreaming, you could simply hit HIT or rear end, REAREND, you could rear end a car. So you have to keep that space. If you've seen my content, and hopefully you have, and you need to be subscribing, you need to be looking at it, and leave comments. You have to keep space. That keeps you safe, because in most states and countries, if you rear end someone, you're at fault. So you want to be in control of your vehicle, you want to keep space. Preparing to brake and stop. You want to squeeze your brake. This is the ball of my hand. You want to use the ball of your foot and squeeze the brake. You never want to hit the brake hard. A lot of beginners tend to panic stop and panic. And that makes the car squat down. If you're driving a manual and you pop out the clutch, you could stall the car and then you'll lose points. If you shift and then hit the gas, the car will launch and you could literally burn rubber a little bit. And you will show the tester this person doesn't have clutch control. Clutch control is really important. The same thing with automatic control. Certain cars are different. If you hit the gas too hard, the car will just take off. Let's talk about 3-point turnarounds. We talked about in the downtown area. Maybe there's a festival. Maybe there's a sporting event. Maybe there's a social media event. So you have to be able to pull into a driveway to the left, reverse back to the left, and go the opposite way. You have to be able to have good maneuverability. You can't just palm the wheel. You have to get your best work done. It's really important. I need all of you to work on those small speed maneuverabilities. What do I mean? If you live in a small town, practice pulling in the driveway, turning that wheel, get your car square. And then if you want to go back to the left, you turn the wheel to the left, the rear of the car will go to the left, the front will swing out. Practice those really tight maneuvers. That will give you confidence. If you don't practice that on your test, you're going to end up not doing consistently and score a high score. So you have to be able to drive in your neighborhood, pull in your neighbor's driveway, practice reversing and turn the wheel, which is really important. You have to be able to have good speed control during school time, 2:30, 3:30. Kids are coming home, school buses. You've got to cover that break. I want to say thank you. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave some comments, and I'll be on tomorrow about 12 o'clock. Bye, guys.